Hello students, welcome to the practice series of interview question on OOPS. Today we will discuss some of the most asked questions in technical interview and learn how to answer such type of question. So first question is, what is the difference between structure and class? Before going to the conclusion part, we have to understand what is structure, why it exists. So in early C programming language, we have an array to collect homogeneous type of data under a single instance. But we don't have any functionality to collect heterogeneous type of data under a single entity. So to rectify such limitation, structure comes in existence. Thus, structure proves its own functionality that in C programming, structure is defined as the user-defined data type which allows grouping variables of different type under a single name. But later on, structure also comes with some limitations, like structure doesn't have any methods in its parameter, structure doesn't support inheritance, structure doesn't support polymorphism and other OOPS properties, etc. So to overcome such type of limitations, evolution of class took place. Thus, class is defined as the blueprint of a real-time entity which represents its structure, function and behavioral strength. Later on, we have to discuss some key differences between the class and the structure. If we talk about on the account of inheritance and polymorphism, class support inheritance, polymorphism and other OOPS properties as well. But structure doesn't support any OOPS properties. On the basis of null values, class have null values in its parameter or in its structure, but structure doesn't support any null values. Now let us talk about the syntax of class and a structure. In a class, like for example, there is a class of mobile which has some data members like the models or the size or the chip feature, etc. And also some methods like refreshing, display refreshing rate, etc. etc. But a structure has only the data members, or we can say that the types of elements, the different types of elements only. There is no count of any method inside the structure body. Now there is another question, that is, what is the difference between a class and an object? As we already know that a class is a blueprint of a real-time entity which represents its structural, behavioral and functional strength. For example, a mobile can be a class, and the Samsung and Nokia and Lenovo and etc. LG etc. are the object of that particular class. Thus, so we can say that an object acts as a key holder or a representative of a class. Here, a Lenovo, an Apple, a Samsung is an object for the mobile class. Now let us take an example of a class and an object. Here is a customer class which represents some data members like customer ID, customer name, customer telephone number and address. A question is arise that how is the template for the customer object represented? Thus, the answer is using a class. Here are some objects we take. We have two objects like John and Jane for this particular customer class, which has different data members like customer ID, different customer name, different telephone number and different address. Now here are some key differences between a class and object. On account of memory, class doesn't have any physical memory, but object can stored in the form of heap. In existence, class is a logical entity, but an object is a physical entity. On account of declaration, you can declare a class only once, but there is no limit on declaring an object. On the account of members, class have data members and member function in its parameter, but object have specific values for their own attributes. Attributes are the data member of the class. For example, mobile is a class, as already we have discussed that mobile is a class, and a Samsung, BlackBerry, iPhone are different objects of that particular class. Now we will discuss about the syntax of a class and an object. How object can be created, how we can create a class for a real-time entity. Thus, here is a class called mobile. Here is a class called mobile which might have some data members like the models and the size, the screen refreshing rate, etc., etc. Also, the mobile class also have some methods like the cooling features and the fast refreshing rate, etc., etc. And here is a object creation for the mobile class. How? Firstly, we have to write a class name, then object name, then a new keyword which is used to create a new object of a class, and the class name. Same for BlackBerry is a class name, that mobile. Second, BlackBerry for as a object name, and a new keyword with respect to the class mobile.